backgrounds. This is the harshness I deal with every day, you know.
good, good afternoon, good morning. Hope everybody's having a good day. We'll take a few minutes to let people connect. I know, unfortunately, with Twitter, it kind of or X, it kind of takes a minute for people to jump in this pop up. So I want to make sure we give a couple minutes, and we were just kind of giving James a little bit of a hard time with his backgrounds. But of course, mine. If I push it up, you'll see the basement that I'm in, which is great. I love it. I love it down here. But that is it is something that I also want to switch, but I've also been told to keep the rustic view. So while we're waiting, I did add. If anybody's a Rick and Morty fan, I did add my Me6 board. Hopefully, it doesn't fall. I didn't pin it up there, but it seems to be okay.
Nice.
So a little programming joke on the wall. If anybody can ever read it, it's blurred. But let's look in like about a minute in. So I'm gonna just start us off with. Thanks everybody for coming for another LFG Thursday. I'm happy to be joined with Todd and James from Chips, and I think this is going to be more focused towards the Kadena ecosystem, which is cool to see. We always hear there's no projects building there. We wish there were more. I think that's the reality of the life we live in, and if we're being realistic, that's a goal, right? But here's a project. Here's people who I would almost say. Are rising from the ashes, and we'll get into that. But first, there is a video that'll be coming out soon. Always thanks to Azakabaza. I'm butchering it. Just a little bit of stats so that you can see like live trading trending tokens, highest traders, things like that, like normal things you would want to see if you're like looking for what's hot, what's coming on. And so that is live. I haven't shared the link yet because I'm afraid people are going to actually go there. But the cool thing about that is it's going to get integrated into Token Go, and it's going to get integrated into a couple other places. So the idea there is to be able to kind of help us get more awareness because we don't have an active analytics platform that's like being built. So I'm just trying to do the bare minimum to help everybody out. And so that's going to be come out here soon, and that's going to coincide with Token Go, which is I'll explain why it matters later, but it's really cool to see just a lot of people contributing to that. So I appreciate it. That's the only spiel I had. For me, I'd like you guys to take it away. If Todd, you're on top for me, so if you want to kind of give us an intro, I know who you are a little bit, but it'd be cool to kind of let you guys go through that for a few minutes here.
Yeah, so my name is Todd, and anybody that recognizes me would know me by the name of Jad on Discord. So that I was the lead programmer for Pact on the Kadena Mining Club, and I've been programming in Pact for since 2020, late 2021. So just about 3 years now, and Pact is not that old, so maybe 50% of its life I've been programming in Pact. Amir's a bit more experienced than I am, I think, but I've made 2 fully deployed applications now, Kadena Mining Club, and now the Chips presale is live. And my journey with crypto really started back in like 2016, back when Bitcoin was like 4,000 or 5,000 or so. And then now it's about to hit 100K, which is insane. Love that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I started mining with NiceHash. I had a 5 GPU rig, and I was approached a few years later about a mining project, and I was like, this is actually a really good idea. So I took the time to learn Pact, ended up launching Kadena Mining Club, which processed just about, I think it was 7 million Kadena, which totaled over the course just about $3 million. So that was like, the marketplace is about 1.5 million Kadena. I'm really happy with just the back end portion of Kadena Mining Club. And then now Chips is our next thing, but we'll get into that later.
Thank you. James?
Yeah, cool. So hi everyone, I'm James. And yeah, people in Discord, you know me as Rude Slayer, and that's been my gamer tag for many years, I would say, as well. Yeah, I'm obviously working with Todd on Chips, which we'll talk about later, but a bit of background to me. I spent 20 years doing like lots of regulatory and compliance stuff for UK government. That's my kind of professional background. Relative to today, I guess I'm probably very open-minded for someone who comes from that background as well. I guess I first got exposed to crypto actually earlier than it says in like the white paper. paper. But I guess like a lot of people in the really early days, you were fairly sort of skeptical and dismissive of it. And yeah, like all the sort of really emerging technology, you think, well, give it a few years, see where it goes. I'm definitely in that group of people who like wishes I bought the Bitcoins in the pizza era, right?
Pizza's delicious. Bitcoin's better.
100%, man. And yeah, I got seriously into it in 2019. A couple of my sort of computer programmer friends were doing like CPU, GPU farming, and I picked up some GPU rigs, started playing around with stuff. Basically, during that sort of period of a couple of years, equipped my garage to kind of be effectively a home farm. Did loads of like soundproofing, cooling ducts, etc. Had to play around and enjoyed, I guess, playing around with some of the hardware side of stuff as well. I guess I'd describe myself as someone who can understand what you guys do. I'm not necessarily a programmer, although I do a lot of stuff that's similar in like Excel, etc. It's massively like degrading what Todd and Amir do. But yeah, I can follow a lot of what you guys are doing, which is extremely clever on that side of stuff. I then moved into like set up my own crypto focused investment business in the UK, which by the way is a nightmare for anyone in the UK. Like the regulatory, it's an absolute nightmare. It's even worse than the US in many ways, the regulatory environment. And during that sort of stage, I was looking for, how could we expand our operations? A thing that like matters a lot to me. I did a lot of my own investment into like renewable energy to power a lot of the stuff we do in the UK as well. Our energy rates are insane. So like you can't farm in the UK now. Like good luck mining. It's virtually impossible. But I think that's something we're keen to do longer term as well. And it was something that attracted me to Kadena Mining Club. I was like one of the big customers in Kadena Mining Club for those who know me in that sense. During a long period of time, I was like chatting to Todd in particular and like a few of the others in the project. But yeah, really interested in like the technical side of stuff. I could see the promise and the premise of what was being done there. And yeah, I sort of stepped in to kind of try and help out. And yeah, I guess we'll pick that story up in a bit because pretty much awful timing, which is probably the story of my life in terms of, what happened around that era as well. But yeah, thanks for the intro.
Absolutely. Thank you both for joining us today. And I think we'll address the KMC elephant in the room first. It's just I hope that people understand that the conversation is important to have, right? The what, the how, the why. I think even some of that is probably unknown to everybody. But what's interesting is, so I don't want to take a lot of time on this, but I do want you guys to be able to kind of like whatever you want to share. I think that the benefit of this conversation is to talk about chips, what's coming down the pipeline. But from a KMC holder myself, I'm curious. Maybe phrase it this way: like how are you guys approaching this different? And I think that'll probably cover a good chunk of it.
Yeah. So with KMC, from the technical point, the scalability of it was really difficult because trying to sell a different piece of artwork with an NFT on every single bit of hash rate for every bit of machine, it makes it really hard to scale from a technical standpoint. There was also the problem, this is from an economic standpoint, like the problem that it was promised that electricity would be free forever, essentially. An attempt was made to bake that into the initial price, but those calculations were not done properly, and hence my involvement with James here. He's much more capable in terms of that. But yeah, the difference between, I guess I should go over a little bit of KMC. Like we sold, each NFT was worth $300. We sold about 10,000 of them. And then those each got 3 terahash approximately of mining power for the life of the machine. And what went wrong is we had electric bills that were piling up, and the price of KDA was going down. So the discrepancy between those two was just too great for the person in charge to overcome. And eventually, a lot of stuff happened. I'll skip over that, but electric bills were being paid with funds that just were not there. And then the project had to be moonlighted, I guess you'd call it, the polite word. So yeah, now we're going through the process of liquidating everything. So all of the KA3s, all the machines are being liquidated, and then those funds are going back to people who had been affected and were expecting mining for 5 years and got it for like a year and a half or so. So that's the general like backstory of KMC. There's a lot more details in the announcements that we posted in that server, so feel free to check that out. But yeah, the main difference, like to go looking forward now, Chips has the ability, I can add any algorithm I want. It takes me about 15 minutes. So we're looking at different coins, we're looking about other stuff, and I can add machines to the collection in like it takes me one button press, and it's just like good to go. Add 300 machines. And then we can start selling those so much faster than like trying to build interested in a new NFT collection, all this stuff. So we have 4 algorithms. They each we have Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Doge together, Kadena and Caspa. So those are, we'll go into more like why we chose those, but it's Bitcoin fairly obvious. But yeah, it's just really nice to be able to scale so quickly, because then we can use the profits from sales, we can use the profits from more machines to then make it more profitable for everybody involved. Because KMC sort of had its hard limit. Now we can definitely benefit from higher liquidity. So these C tokens, like the NFTs, you need a marketplace. People need to be interested in the artwork. They need to be interested in a bunch of stuff. And then now everything's equal. You get a token that represents a specific amount of hash rate, and then you can sell that on a decentralized exchange. And we have a lot of the profits from this are going to go back to the community because we need to incentivize liquidity. So then that raises the TVL of the Kadena ecosystem. And it's just a sort of a cycle. We're bringing coins in from other ecosystems, we're bringing them over to Kadena, and then we're giving people a reason to use them. And that's essentially how Chips is designed.
I love the fact you dropped a massive piece of alpha just in the middle of all of that, by the way. So, yeah.
We'll
I know I
circle
can always
back.
rely on you to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like a
sorry about that.
massive piece of alpha in the middle of what you just said then in terms of what Chip's capabilities are and what we intend to do. So, yeah, well, I'll circle back to that one. Yeah, I mean, I'll address a couple of questions. I can see some questions in the chat as well. So I'll address the one around founders passes. Like this stuff is, you're best off using the KMC Discord to find out the answers to questions like that. But in terms of the founders pass, so we've just decided we're just going to honor the, like, we think anyway, because I have to say this is our take on it. Like, bear in mind I wasn't even in the team until like right towards the end, but my take was the founders pass was a fairly unspecified promise that you'd always get benefits. It wasn't actually clear what that like long-term benefit would be. We've interpreted it as like we will give that some sort of lasting benefit on our KWatt tokens, which is our energy and hosting fees. So that's just something we've decided to do. It just kind of feels like the right thing to do, I guess. You can probably read a lot into like that's how we are as a new team now. Like, yeah, it just feels like the right thing to do. I think I'd like to pick up on a couple of other things there as well. I think, you know, with Chips, it's lowered the barrier to entry. Like we don't have that price point that you have with like a fixed NFT collection where you have to set, you know, a specific price. We are going to have like a price point for being able to eligible for like giveaways and stuff like that, just to obviously like make it, you can't spend $1 and then it ends up costing us more money. So yeah, there'll be like a $200 threshold to like qualify for like larger benefits, etc. But that's the only reason that's there. There's no barrier to entry. If you want to mine with 50 cents because that's where you live in the world and that's a significant investment, you can do that with Chips, and that's by design, so that, you know, we've genuinely removed that barrier. So that's like, I hope that's a good thing, and, you know, something we can kind of reflect on longer term, whether even having that kind of initial threshold makes sense. And something Todd picked up on as well around like the energy, and I've kind of referenced there, you know, the fact that the KWatt token is like your energy and infrastructure. It was one of the things that interested me when Todd was explaining the protocol to me. That's, you know, that gives the ownership and the liquidity back to the people who spent the money on that. Yeah, that was another thing that's gone wrong, not just with KMC. I think for a lot of sort of tokenized mining projects is, yeah, you invest in the start for like upfront energy for a, you know, a discount, which is fairly industry standard with hosted miners, but effectively you're giving control over that to the entity, whereas with Chips you get that back in the tokens. You effectively still own and control your energy liquidity effectively, which I think is a massive difference and a differentiator, I guess, as well. I'll come back on the massive alpha drop you did, Todd, later.
Sorry about that.
No, that's
No
good.
worries.
And yeah, I'm sure we'll have more questions. And people, just be respectful. I'm not asking a disrespectful question. That's not why we're here. If you have questions throughout, please ask them. Right, these guys are reading chat. Please ask them. We'll bring them up, you know, as we kind of go through this. And so one of the interesting things. So mining is very difficult, and I've explained this before myself. Even as my company mines, right, and so I'm a I'm not a solo miner, but basically it's like, I don't have to report this to anybody other than the government who wants all the profits anyway. So, so we kind of go through that, and I've seen like the way energy prices are going up and profitability is going down. Doing what was done before is very, very difficult. And so I think I make this more of a parallel to, and maybe you guys can talk about this, is I'm used to using something like NiceHash, right? Where it's easy. You can go there, you can pay in a ton of different currencies. Is that kind of like a look and feel like you guys are going for, or is that like way off base?
It's a fairly similar process. This one's just decentralized. We have a few discern like differences, but if you're going to explain to somebody that already knows that NiceHash, that's a super easy parallel.
Okay. Yeah, no, good. And that's a marketplace where you can go and you can buy hash rate with funds, just like with the KWatt token, I guess. So that's cool. It's a for a lot of people who are used to, home mining and GPU mining. There's going to be a lot of familiarity there, and hopefully comfort. Hopefully that helps. So I'm gonna let the KMC fall off a little bit. I probably could take this whole time and talk about it, but I don't think it's worth it right now. Again, ask questions as you need. So KMC, this will be the last parallel, was founded on using NFTs, right? And Todd, you kind of talked about NFTs. So how will or won't NFTs, play some type of role? I know you spoke about the Founders Pass, but what does that look like kind of going forward when you're focusing more on a token? Is there anything that will come out of this that gives people something to look at in their wallet, essentially?
Yeah. Before I answer that, I see a question from One Hit Aquita. I'll just answer that quick. For KMC, we did rewards every like 10 minutes. You would see them update pretty much as soon as it was possible. Chips is going to be similar, probably a bit less frequent, like maybe twice an hour instead of 6 times an hour. But you can claim them anytime you want. There's really no delay. But yeah, back to NFTs. So the Chips does use NFTs, but there is nothing visible that users will be able to see in the protocol. The NFTs are just to represent the actual hardware that we're using. So every ASIC has maybe 250 chips on it, 250 little squares, and the NFTs represent a certain number of those squares just for gas purposes. So say you have one NFT that represents a third of an ASIC, that thing's worth like $1,000. One that represents one tiny fraction of it, that might be $20. That's what our sale is for now. So we're breaking it down to like the smallest possible increment. And what the NFTs do is they track the age of the machine, they track historically how it's performed in terms of energy usage, and how it's performed with hash rate, downtime as well. So this makes every individual thing attributable. And we're using Marmalade for the purpose of tracking this, just because the NFT generation is super easy. And every time that we want to buy more machines, all we have to do is say, I want to add this many chips for this many machines. Here's the information for this batch. And then press go. And we can create 10,000 NFTs, but these aren't picture NFTs. These are just little bits of data on the blockchain that we can reference. That way we can give people slightly cheaper hash rate if they are buying it from an older machine, or if they're buying it from the most expensive, nicest, newest machine, then it might be a bit more expensive.
Yeah, I'll just finish off the NFTs, I guess, because we are intending to do role holder NFTs as well, and they will be more traditional, like pictorial NFTs. So we've dropped a couple of teasers for that, which are kind of chip themed. It'll give you a feel, I guess, for what the NFT collection will look like, but we haven't fully designed it yet. And some of those, like depending on role holders, will be rarer than others, right? So that will be fairly sort of, people in the NFT space will understand that. That's by design, and it'll also be the way we attach your role holder privileges to those NFTs. So we talked about legacy benefits that we're going to honor and try and import, but we do want to create these for like new entry, new people as well. And yeah, you'll see in our Discord, we explain like what the different role holders you can have are. And yeah, those will get, towards the upper end, you'll get like a rare NFT effectively. We also want to introduce like a bit of gamification, I guess, by having like loot boxes as well. So that's another thing we've sort of teased as well. And I believe I'm right in saying we'll host those on the Kadena AI marketplace as well, which we're really pleased about, by the way. Like I do love the Kadena AI marketplace. So, but yeah, correct me if I've misunderstood that.
I'm glad one of us likes it.
It's got a lot of promise. It's got a lot of promise, right? Yeah. I want to pick up there's a question in the chat. Is it okay for me to just pick that up and like?
Yeah, go ahead.
Give you a
I
response
noted
to
them,
that?
but go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So new ASICs, etc. Yeah, so I mean, there's multiple different things. The main thing with chips is that we've got. I mean, it's already deployed in the. You'll see it 'cause it's what's powering our calculator on our pre-sales site, right? So Todd has written a very clever oracle, which is going to price track like live coin information, and that generally reflects like live pricing for hash rate, right? Which effectively is what machine pricing is based upon. So that's built in at point of sale for us. And we will aggregate miners in the same way over a period of time, depending on demand. So that's one of the things. It's like a very key differentiator. I think, us being multi-algorithmic is a very big change as well. Todd referenced the problems we had, and I think you'll have this with anyone. It's very difficult when you're only mining one coin. You're going to literally mirror the movements of that coin, right? Whereas, this protocol enables you as customers and us as a business to try and hedge that across a range of coins. And we as a business as well, we're going to have quite a bit of Bitcoin hash rate. Probably shouldn't say any more than that, but that's our plan. That's a little bit of alpha there as well. And yeah, like I say, in terms of like prices, well, yeah, that's inbuilt at point of sale. So you don't have to buy it. That price, that risk is on us. But it's a very, very different business model. And there's quite a lot of really boring financial stuff been done on the back end of it by me as well to try and mitigate that and come up with different business plans. But yeah, it's really a completely different business model is the short answer to that. I hope that gives some insights anyway.
Yeah, just a little addition there. For the NFTs kind of track the age of the machine, the efficiency of the machine. So
Yeah, good point,
as
thanks.
over time, things will become less valuable or more valuable depending on like Litecoin just shot up. I think like doubled in price in 2 weeks. So the tokens are designed to mimic the price of hash rate over time. So as a new ASIC comes out, the old ones will sort of maintain their amount of hash rate, but because difficulty is going to get higher, they're going to mine less. And the new ASICs can come in with new NFTs that people can then purchase separately. So you'll never lose hash rate per se. You'll just lose like you won't have the newest machine unless you start a new rental and you choose to do so.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. So I should have said that. So I mean, it does depend on what the customer wants to do. So that degradation that someone's picked on there is built in. So you could rent it for the 5 years, which we've just picked as like the average lifespan of an ASIC. Obviously, that will vary. But if we haven't got a machine rented that's getting older, you can expect us to replace that. As most like large farms would do. We will do the same thing, and that's built into our financial modelling. So yeah, we would expect to try and maintain efficient machines, but obviously that if people want to have those old machines, that's their choice, right? And we'll try and longer term have like a very attractive energy rate to kind of incentivize that as well. I don't know, Todd. I'm guessing the 5 years is counted in mining time, right? Because we could have a machine that's offline. So
it's just purely mining time. If you're providing liquidity for the tokens, say you have some Kadena hash rate that you've got tokens for, you can provide liquidity and those will never degrade. It can last decades. But at that point, the hash rate that they represent is quite small. So you generally want to use them earlier rather than later. But yeah, providing liquidity, it's sort of all kind of accounted for in that algorithm. So we're incentivizing liquidity so that you don't have to mine with these and they don't have to degrade, but you're going to get lower rewards than if you do mine because it's just the risk involved. But yeah, it's time sense mining only when there is an active rental.
Perfect, and I'm loving the questions, and I like that you guys are picking up on them. So this is perfect, and so this is like a good one for the community, for the people who are interested in the project. A little different pace, but I think the important thing is to get your questions out there, to get them answered. This is like a perfect opportunity, and so I'll tie up the kind of the multi-algorithm conversation for a minute here with. What is your selection criteria for that, and how did you guys kind of come up with? If you can expand on that a little bit, I'm curious myself, like why you guys.
Yeah, for sure. I think you want me to pick this one up first, Todd. Right? Yeah. So feel free to come in if not. So yeah, we did think quite long and hard about it. So primarily, we wanted to come up with like stable algorithms. So that's why we've like predominantly put in Bitcoin and Script, I should say Script, which is obviously Litecoin, Doge, and I believe Bell's coin now is like another multi-algorithmic mining. Yeah, I have no idea about that, so that was my like throwaway. I'm told there's another algorithm you mine as well. But yeah, we were thinking, I mean, Bitcoin's not going anywhere, right? I think everyone understands that it's the daddy of like all crypto, and it's why everyone's in the crypto space. And certainly over the last few years, I think a lot of very significant mining farms now have a lot of hash rate that's mining Script. Again, whatever you think of like the underlying assets, I don't think Script is going anywhere. So we want a really sort of solid foundation for the business, and also an opportunity to get people into those things at as good a price point as we can get. Because it isn't always easy to get like competitive pricing on those machines. So that was part of the thing. It was just like a solid financial foundation. We built on Kadena. Like Todd and I are both Kadena OGs. I guess hopefully everyone knows that if you're in the ecosystem. We certainly believe in like the long term, promise of Kadena and what it can do. And obviously, it's a proof of work blockchain. So we want to, we also want to add security to that blockchain itself. So that was a no brainer for us. The CAS one's a hard one to answer. In that was just because a couple of like bigger customers were like, we want to mine CADs. So yeah, that's my very honest answer to why that's the fourth algorithm. And I guess we could segue into what Todd dropped a moment ago, but I'll hand to you if you want to say any more on that bit, Todd.
Good, thanks.
Cool. Yeah. I think I will cover it at this point. Yeah, Todd dropped a little bit of alpha earlier. We can add another algorithm really easily, and we're already planning to add another algorithm next year. So we kind of want to go to the community and ask you guys, I guess, like, what's the demand there? Because we can add whatever, really. If there's enough people that want exposure to something, there's no limit to what we can add. It's not hugely technically difficult for us. We just obviously don't want to add too much because it will be difficult at the start in terms of making sure we've got enough there. I should say, like the pre-sale, it doesn't reflect how we want to operate longer term. We've obviously got a standing start here. Ideally, we will always have hash rate available for rental, so you'll be able to come along and you'll be able to get it there and then, or there'll be a much shorter sort of lead-in time to it. But yeah, as with any project, there's a bit of a delay at the outset, and I'll just repeat what I've said multiple times. We aim to under-promise and over-deliver on that space as well when it comes to things like hash rate. And I probably should, if you don't mind, I'll address one other thing. People worried about our ability to procure Kadena mining machines. It is possible. It's difficult. That would be what I would say. It's possible but difficult. There are new machines still there. We've had conversations with Bitmain in China, not like local sales reps. They are there, but it's not necessarily easy. So if we can get enough demand generated, we will absolutely be looking to go and get like new Kadena machines. That's what we want to do, and create that demand for it, because ultimately Bitmain will make whatever there's demand for, right? So yeah, they're the ultimate example in that. So if we come and say we've got demand 50 or 100, like even if they didn't, you can guarantee they'll make those machines. So yeah, a little bit of insight there. Good to get some early expressions of interest for another algorithm as well.
Yeah, I think you'll get a lot of people in our community that'll ask for ELF, and as I see they're doing it. I actually was gonna throw a little side curve question at you guys a little bit here, and on the topic of picking different mining. And so we know you can stake tokens, right? And so you guys have proof of work, and I was thinking about you guys are targeting proof of work basically algorithms, right? And chains. Is there any appetite or conversation around using staking validators that you could provide staking validators and rewards? And then the other thing is, this is going to be like a huge question, so it's probably going to take us a few minutes to break this down. How does the bridge play into something that where we may have access to higher reward payouts for like USDC, USDT, things like that? It's a lot. That's probably like a 10-minute conversation. But if you guys want to kind of just break that down a little bit and share, if there is a desire to go with validation, and if what that could mean for people, and then kind of we can talk about the bridge maybe for a few minutes, how that might help.
Yeah, that's a
go. You can start with this one for sure, Todd.
Yeah, that's a great question. So proof of stake is my experience, at least with Pact, is proof of work. So I've got this application that was built back in January, and we went through a whole grant process, and then things had to get cut short. But essentially, my expertise is in proof of work. Mm-hmm. So that's why we're doing this now. It's, and depending on who you ask, the most profitable way to acquire coins. But proof of stake is huge because it doesn't require all this electric infrastructure. Now, that does make it difficult for us. Like, our business model is basically we make money on electric. That's the thing. So proof of stake definitely takes that bit away, and we would have to do some financial calculations on that. But it's absolutely possible, because proof of stake has this huge barrier to entry where you need, what is it, like 30 ETH now? I
It's a
haven't.
crazy amount now.
It was 32. Yeah, I don't know if it still is, to be honest, but it was
$100,000
32. Yeah.
So that would be an awesome thing to be able to decentralize. I know there's places that do that now, but I mean, if we can bring that to Kadena, I'm happy to bring that once we get the proof of work fully launched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess on the bridge question, it's something we've certainly talked about internally, because we want to, whatever we do, we're going to want to ensure there's adequate liquidity as well, and that ability to balance against stable coins. One of the things we're trying to do with chips is give people that token liquidity, so that remove effectively the choice between investing in hardware or the liquidity of tokens, and try and give people at least some option to kind of have an element of both. We see that as like a key differentiator, and it's something that frustrates me. Like when I was running my own business, and you might be able to relate to this too, Amir. It's like you're always having that conversation, like, do I invest in more capital or do I keep more liquid? What we're trying to do with chips is like at least give some element of having a bit of your cake and eat it, I suppose, if you want to put it like that. And I know it's not like perfectly that, but that's what we're trying to do, is give people like the ability to potentially have an element of both. But yeah, I don't know if you want to talk at all on the bridge stuff, Todd. I know we've talked about it.
Yeah, so Amir, do you mind re-asking the bridge question, just so I'm addressing the right part?
So as I would correlate in my mind, how I would like to use the bridge, right? I'm phrasing my question more of like in the pie in the sky, right? Mm-hmm. Of that you'll be able to bring more liquidity into the project, because there's a much we're talking orders of magnitude for anything we look at on the other side. To be able to bring more liquidity into not just the project but the ecosystem, right? And then from the USDT USDC conversation, is it possible to stake? Not stake. Yeah, stake is the right word here. Stake or place some of the funds while they're maybe you have a surplus, maybe you're doing stuff. Is there an opportunity there to use some of the more mature, higher yield lending pools that are safe, right? Obviously safe ones, as safe as it can be, to kind of help. Where I feel maybe before the funds were locked and they were static funds, right? You needed to spend money to have more funds. Here, they're spending money. We've got liquidity. We've got all sorts of different things. So is there an opportunity for the bridge to actually help fill in a gap that didn't exist before? Sorry, it's a long question. I know it's a big question. I just don't want to simplify it.
The bridge question is, bringing the bridge into the equation here is like my favorite part of this, because Kadena's got like a total value locked of like 10 million or less, and every machine that we bring in is $3,000. If we bring in
on average,
machines, on average, I mean, the Litecoin machine.
The Litecoin. I was going to say, let's be clear, the Litecoin ones are not $3,000.
Yeah, I'm used to A3s. Sorry, he's doing the ordering, not me. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't procure those.
So, like every machine we bring into the ecosystem is straight TVL. Like it's perfectly designed to bring that number up, and that's like a underpinning of every healthy ecosystem. You need to have total value locked, or else there's no money flowing. That's what an economy is, money flowing. So bringing the bridge into this, we need that to launch to be able to bring that TVL over. But I mean, if people want to be able to claim their rewards, we're still going to distribute manually on those chains. But once the bridge is launched, everything's going to end up here. We're bridging all of the Bitcoin we mine, all of the Caspa, Litecoin, Doge, everything. So we're talking about like per day at launch, if we only have 1,000 machines, we're going to have, what is that, $3 million worth of equipment on the chain, and every bit of coin that they mine is going to end up on chain as well. So we'll look at the calculator later, but that is essentially, that could be like $10,000 a day just from mined rewards coming in here. And then hopefully the bridge has purpose where people can end up putting their Bitcoin into it and pairing it with USDC or ZUSDC, and then they'll be able to get rewards from that. So it's really just a huge boon to the ecosystem to be able to bring mined coins over by default, rather than trying to motivate people to do it. It's here already. Like, we've got tens of thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin. It's already on the chain.
Yeah, like you say, natively mined and then effectively, TVL locked on Kadena is like a big part of what we're trying to do here. And we recognize, like I said, Todd and I have been in the ecosystem pretty much from its inception. So, we want to see this ecosystem grow as well. And we recognize the importance of like getting more liquidity in. And also, like, hopefully that will just put us up like the charts where, a lot of people pay pay a lot of attention to that and go like, what's this ecosystem's TVL, for example? So moving us up it will have like almost a double effect in terms of getting us noticed, hopefully. So it could be like a virtuous cycle, I guess, where like, yeah, we can just really grow the ecosystem. There's a question on stable coins. I don't know if we've adequately explained like the pairing to stables as well, Todd. Like I feel like that might be.
Yeah, so if I don't quite understand the question, but the
same.
stablecoin in general, if you want to stake, the safest way you can do it is with USDC and USDT. Pair those two together, you get an APR of like 7% or something like that, depending on where you're at. With our energy token, it's basically a stable coin because our energy prices are not going to change for the life of the contract, and that contract is fairly long. So if anything, it's going to go up, which is a bit of an interesting thing in crypto, but we'll ignore that for now. So we're going to pair kilowatt tokens with stablecoin, and then if you're providing that liquidity, you've got a stablecoin with our coin, which is always going to be sold on our website for 8.5 cents or whatever it happens to end up being. So if you want to make stable rewards on Kadena, that's going to be the way to do it because we have to fund that liquidity pool we have to motivate people to provide liquidity, and we're going to do that by machines that aren't being rented out. We're going to do that with various means, but essentially that's going to be your safe way to make as long as we have people using kilowatts, then it's going to be a safe way to get stable rewards.
Yeah, I'll pick up there's a couple of things and a couple of questions as well, if you're okay with me picking that up, Amir. So
sure.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff that you're touching on there, like I guess the thing to say is like our modeling, our financial modeling, like the really boring stuff that I also do for us, we account for stuff like that. So like liquidity, it's all in our costings. Like you don't need to work. Yeah, we want that to be simple, but simple in a good way. I think all too often projects present simple, but actually there's a lot of issues that people haven't considered. That's not the case of us. I have a very boring financial background, but that's a good thing with stuff like that. I've considered like what's the impact of stuff like that, which is important for you guys to know as customers. I was a big customer myself of Kadena, so we do not want those types of issues to have not been considered. So we thought about how we incentivize that as part of our kind of financial modeling. There's a couple of really good questions I'll briefly pick up on if you're okay with that. I mean, I don't want to sort of
yeah, go ahead. I think after this, can we maybe Todd, you can prepare to kind of show what you wanted to show, and you guys have the floor. I mean, it's your time. So
yeah, I'm just going to pick up the question then on the delay. Yeah, so at the moment, like I say, we're in a pre-sale period. So yeah, we've committed to giving people like hash rate, and as soon as you've got hash rate, like Todd said, you'll be able to claim your rewards within like 30 minutes or an hour once we've got live hash rate set up. But this is once full chips launches. Todd's looking at me going, "What if we've got early hash rate?" Which we might have. It won't quite be fully functional at that point. But yeah, so we're clear on that. And all I can say is, like I say, we're aiming to over deliver on our timeline. So yeah, once we've got it, we'll be communicating things like that. And what you'll definitely see is you'll be able to tell if we've got hash rate now or not. Like that'll be an inbuilt part of our website, so you can see that straight away. Black Friday sale question. That's a good question. We may be thinking about doing something for that. Stay tuned.
Perfect. Well, while you're flipping that out, I actually had one other question, but if you're ready to go, I can hold it till you're done.
I was actually just getting our poll ready. James, I think we're good to release the poll on the alpha that we agreed to.
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to post this on X. I just posted that, and anybody that's in the chat, go to chips_KDA and vote in that poll to see what algorithm you would like to mine next with chips. Really appreciate any feedback that you can give in the comments as well.
Is that chips.finance/KDA?
For the poll, it's just on X.
Okay.
I can.
So I'm going to copy. Yeah, exactly.
I was just trying to pin it for you guys.
I was going to say.
I got it.
Thank you.
I saved my Luddite self trying to copy paste it.
There you go. So there you go.
All right.
Go ahead and just type that string out. You guys are good. But no, did you want to jump into the?
Yeah, we can do a question if you got a question, and then I have the stream ready to go.
Okay, so the question, is there any airdrops? Is not the right word, but is there any like project airdrops that are going to come through on this?
Okay. Yeah, this is actually part of the pre-sale. We had it in the original design, but essentially every time that we reach a new milestone, One, the price of kilowatts is going to go down because we'll have a larger utilization of our electric. So then the price of that can go down. But an actual airdrop, there will be an airdrop of hash rate direct to people on the launch of the project. So if you've bought any tokens for hash rate, we have different percentages based on certain milestones. But if right now, I know everybody's getting at least 3% more for every token, I believe. Maybe Caspa is only 1%. So then if we hit $500,000 in sales, those bump up a bit more. $1 million in sales, that bumps up a bit more. So the airdrops are going to be like hash rate straight to your wallet. So if you're buying something now, you'll have a bit more come in January or February whenever we get these.
In Q2.
Airdrop is
January, February, Q2. You know,
as the person ordering the machines.
No, the airdrop is Q2. Sorry, the actual calculation is going to happen in Q1.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
Cool.
It's all yours.
Pull this stream up. So this is going to be the pre-sale website that we have here. It's essentially, we've got a calculator that tells you how profitable it is to mine any given currency. So our designer did an awesome job with this. I just fed him some data, and this you can choose any currency. We'll just choose stablecoin, so it's easy to understand. So if you put in $100 right now, you're going to get $9.50 a month worth of Bitcoin, and you're going to pay $5 in electric. That is based on instantaneous data. So if price of Bitcoin goes up in the next month, then you'll have more than that, whatever. So that's how this works. And we just put in 1,000, 10,000, and you're making $1,000 a month with 10,000. Well, minus electric. So it's about $400 a month with 10,000 investment. So that's super simple way to do this. We'll bring this back down to still $100. So then for Litecoin, we use merge mining. You'll get that amount of Litecoin. You'll get about 23.5 Doge per month. And it tells you again how much you'd make. And this one has a very cheap electric rate proportionally because Doge has just skyrocketed in the last month. So this is a huge algorithm right now. We've got Caspa, and you can see this one's probably the second most profitable one. We've got $12 a month with $100 investment, and electricity is decently low. And then Kadena right now is going to be your lowest one at $7.80 and $5 in electric per month. But yeah, this is a super easy way to check like current profitability. It's like MinerStat and other websites where you have to input a whole bunch of data, all that stuff. This just makes it so you say, how much do I want to spend? I want to spend $5,000. And then now it tells you exactly how much you would get per month. And then
I think I'm right in saying as well, Todd, right, that once we've got the integration for our Discord holder roles, it will just automatically reflect your discount rate for electric.
Oh, that's a good point. We'll make that happen. Yeah, we've got to integrate the Discord holder rules. Those haven't been fully integrated yet. But yeah, this is based on a flat 8 cents per kilowatt hour. So if we hit higher milestones, right now our total raised is 360,000. If we hit the 500, that'll go down a bit. And then I forget what the other thresholds are, but once we hit those thresholds, this calculation will get updated to be slightly cheaper. And the more we sell, the cheaper it can get.
Yeah, and again, just reflecting, right, what we can negotiate. The same for the machine stuff. You know, if we can get a better deal because we're ordering a larger volume, it's just how it works. Like the aim is we pass on some of that to you basically as like extra free hash rate, and we're committing to do that in Q2 just because there's going to be a delay between us obviously ordering the extra machines, and we want to, as I say, under promise and over deliver. So that's you'll get the hash rate you're buying now in Q1, but the bonus element would be Q2.
Yeah, this bonus that we have, it's a 3 to 6.5% bonus based on the total raised amount up here. So that's for Litecoin, 3 to 6.1 to 3% for Caspa. Yeah, Caspa is our lowest just because that's the one that is the most difficult to calculate. So we don't want to overpromise, as James said. And then I'll just do a quick swap right now while I have the stream going. So I got 50 KDA. I'm going to buy some script hash rate. Can do a quick swap. It tells you like what your fees would be, and it tells you your mining power. So is this, yeah, so Litecoin is very small amount of mining power because that's just what the machines are. They're measured in gigahash.
I was going to say, it says terahash, but I'm pretty sure that's gigahash.
Yeah, so this is fine. It's just 0.03 rather than 0.1 gigahash. So it's definitely a bit confusing there, but you can click confirm and then it comes up. I don't know if you can see my wallet thing, but then that just gets submitted and then we wait. So this will be, that's how easy it is to start mining. As soon as you have these tokens and then we get our hash rate running in Q1, you'll be able to start mining right away. But
Nice and
that
easy.
is the protocol here.
So when's the cutoff for trying to get the the incentives in there before you guys order? Like, what date is the cutoff date?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think we're going to give some updates as we're placing orders. So I would say you'll know that, and we will start to update it. So longer term, the way we will probably build this whole project will be, we will just constantly, like, as Todd said, it's built to be scalable. So I'd imagine we will do, and we've kind of planned to be doing like reorders every couple of months. Like, this grows itself, as we said, we will have some, and we'll be organically growing that as well. So longer term, we hope there won't be such an issue. We should just have that excess hash rate. I guess it depends on demand, right? If it's skyrockets, it's a nice problem to have, and we'll have to reflect that. But I think what we want to do is always do that. We basically want to reward you guys for like locking up funds, right? We understand that's not ideal, especially at the moment in a rising market. As always, we've timed that pretty terribly, I think. And yeah, try and give people reward for that. Yeah. Just someone trying to clean my office there. Yeah, but
No,
yeah,
that's
we
good.
will do it. We will do a countdown, because I think we will be like, yeah, we'll be ordering hash rate power, and we'll try and make that clear.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good. And so, how do you prefer, people getting involved to come in and get more information? Is that, following your Twitter? Is that going on Discord and engaging? Is there any other kind of chat revenues you guys, or chat streams you guys are trying to get people into for the
Yeah, that's
project?
a great question. And I think, this is, and thanks, I want to say as well, thank you so much, Amir, for giving us this platform and a chance to kind of speak to people and answer questions. So I think Todd and I are intending to like carry on now and do some of these regular AMAs, conscious like different people will come into the project as well. We would say our first point of contact is a Discord. Like, that's got most of our information. You will always find the team active in there as well. Even if Todd and I aren't around, like, someone will pick it up, or our community support guys. I think we'll do a YouTube channel as well. And yeah, we've got the very Genesis bare bones of that. And yeah, I guess it's a decision like between the X Spaces and YouTube. I think they're good for different things. It's nice to have the video like we've got today, for example. So yeah, our intention was, and we've got a sort of a year comms plan for stuff like this, will be to continuously do some AMAs, both to allow new people coming in, and also we've only just published our white paper, I think about probably less than 24 hours ago, and there's a lot of info in there, so we appreciate people go away, read it, and probably come back. We know the Kadena community is full of like a lot of people who actually are very technically proficient, so yeah, we fully expect to get people ask some really good questions, and maybe those will be questions like some of you asked them. We're actually going away ourselves going like, have we fully thought out like all the stuff we can do with this?
I don't. I always like to kind of not stump people, but like, what is he going to ask me? And I think some of this stuff, and we have like 12 minutes, so we got plenty of time to keep going through this. I think one of the interesting things is you guys are a known quantity in the ecosystem. I am consciously targeting people outside of our ecosystem to try to come in and learn more about us. It's a challenge. It's a challenge, here, and so I would almost say, video. If you can do it, video gets more hits than audio, and some of the big audio spaces, obviously, some of them just have to be audio. They're just so massive. But for us, it's a good way to connect. I always feel like people don't get to see what you guys are doing. They don't get to see what I'm doing. I try to share it. Sometimes it's tough, and editing videos and stuff takes time away from what we're doing. And so I think, for all of those things, it will be cool to see more activity on Twitter, to X, whatever we're calling it now, more activity on YouTube, and yeah, perfect. I was waiting to see if Katie Miner would come in here. Yes, of course, Casper. Are you kidding me? If you can make money off of it, why wouldn't you? You're crazy. But
Katie right away. Go ahead.
yeah. You can just ask Todd to convert it for you as soon as you get it. So no, it's cool. It's cool. The project itself, I like it because to me it parallels like what I understand about NiceHash. Whether you like it or not, it's a nice platform. It's easy to use. You guys have a nice, easy to use platform. And so what we need to do as a community is when we have these opportunities, instead of frankly shitting on our projects, why don't we go out and start supporting them? And instead of coming in and spending 30 minutes complaining about XYZ, why don't we spend 30 minutes and go promote this stuff out there? It's not paid promotions, it's not all those things, but like that's what, in my opinion, we need our communities doing more of. And so I'm hoping, as people get comfortable with what you guys are doing, they kind of see. I really want to see that. I don't feel like we're there yet. And if you guys can deliver something that we can put our, hang our hats on, no pressure, but you have all the pressure in the world now. You give that opportunity for people to come in, and we'll always have trolls. You guys are forever going to have trolls. I think you know that, especially with the KMC stuff hanging over. But if you really do care and you are an investor in Kadena, you're an investor in chips, you're an investor in everything or anything in our ecosystem, or actually, just care, join, just chat. You don't even have to buy anything. Just be engaging, share their 100%. Content, come in Discord and be a positive force for people. It helps. As our developers, we don't have many of them, but a lot of us just get beat down by people. Instead of like brought up, we can bring everybody up, or we can tear everybody down. So I think there's probably a lesson there, and I'll get blasted for this by a few people who are watching, but I think there's a lesson in there of, if we want it to work, we have to make it work. And it's very difficult. We're in a massive market, but you guys are targeting liquidity on Bitcoin, on CAS, on different ecosystems, Litecoin. That's coming back in. That is something we don't have right now. We just don't have it. And so support that. Get out there and support it. And again, financially, if you can. If you can't, just support them. And so I think that's good for me, for my high horse for a minute. And I kind of see it as you guys are going through this, and there's an opportunity there. And I'm curious for you specifically, Todd, because I wanted to geek out a little bit, but sorry, James.
I wanted to hear you guys geek out.
So what was the draw? I know you've been doing Pact for a while. What was the draw to actually land this product on Kadena? The timing, and what was, if you had to tell people like what was challenging about building this? What are like your top 3, like, oh my God, I can't believe, I thought this was going to be easy and I can't believe it. And then what was just difficult? I'm curious myself.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll start with the difficult ones. So I have been programming this since like November of last year. KMC was supposed to be converted into this product, but because of what happened, it was not able to be done. So the most difficult thing, annoyingly, was getting APR calculations that were historically accurate, because you need to know prices of all the currencies involved, swap fees, all this stuff. And the calculations just got ridiculous at one point. So once the website is fully launched, we're going to have like live APRs and historical APRs. I probably spent like just 2 weeks on that, just trying to get it perfect. And I have like this fake rental that I created that for every currency. So then it's like this little simulated rental that happens, and then it tracks exactly what it would have made, all the price points at every like step of the way, and then tries to time it based on what your average claim rate is. So then it's like, what would your APR be based on your historical patterns? And that was a really interesting challenge. I finished that in like July sometime. And I'm excited for that to start getting used and for people to shit on my calculations. So
I will, don't worry.
Yeah. I do it internally sometimes as well.
Yeah. So the other thing that was definitely the most annoying, just like, I definitely wish I had James at the time, because I would have been able to bounce ideas off of his head instead of just like furiously typing into Google. So the other thing that was really annoying was, well, this was pretty fun. I had to find a way to compact. We've got, say we have 10,000 ASICs. That's a lot. But each one of those has 250 chips. You're talking like 10 million NFTs that are on this blockchain. How do you make that possible to fit into a gas transaction? Like, how do you make it fit into one blockchain transaction? And that was an interesting challenge But thankfully, KMC, I sort of already approached that, and now I've done it in an even like more dramatic way. So the gas cost is, I know some of our bigger holders, James included, had trouble submitting transactions sometimes because he had 500 NFTs and I need to update something on each one of those. But now when you start a rental, it compiles all of those chips into one giant NFT, and then that is hashed so that I can extract all of the NFTs that you're actually renting. So now the gas costs are like, I can 30 people worth of like 500 NFTs can all rent in the same 30 seconds. So that was definitely like a huge challenge that I encountered. And that was, I have spreadsheets on spreadsheets, just like cascading calculations that just go down. That was an entertaining thing to solve, especially as we scale and like add more hash rate. It was just, yeah, it was a lot of fun to try and do that.
I mean, I love I just want to say as well, like the pact and the fact that it's human readable. I just love that. Like that's, the transparency that brings is huge for me as well. Like people ask how some of these contracts execute. Well, read the code, right? Like it will tell you if you follow the code through, you can kind of see what it's doing, especially if you've got even a basic understanding of coding. I think that's like such a huge thing for Kadena, like longer term as we see more adoption. It's a massive transparency thing. I think we see issues in smart contracts all the time, but with this, you can almost spot them yourself if you have even a basic understanding of coding and read through it, like I like to do, and just go, I can see where like something doesn't quite tie up. So I think that's just a massive advantage of Kadena for me as well.
And yeah, I think I've forgotten the first part of your question there. Would you mind restating that for me, if you remember it?
I feel like you guys answered what I was looking for, but you talked about in your intro, right? And I know this too, right? You've been here for a while. You've kind of learned Pact. You spent a lot of time on it.
Right.
If you probably touched on the thing that I like to touch on the most, which is gas usage and what people don't understand about smart contracts, right? If you're coming from a traditional programming language, I parallel Pact a lot to SQL, right? And there's a reason for that, right? If you know how to write SQL, SQL queries, you'll do pretty well in Pact. If you need to write very, very complex SQL queries, you'll do tremendous in Pact. And so when you think about like what stumps new people coming in, it's always gas. They're like, oh, it's cheap. Gas is cheap. So they're like, oh, 80, 90,000 gas, no problem. I'll do this select. And I'm like, you put 3 entries in there and now that select is not usable anymore. And they don't, they don't get that. And so I was curious because I see there's a lot of math, right? And I take a peek at things every now and then. And certainly begs the question, I guess, is, are you guys going to do any type of bug bounty, anything like that? I wasn't sure if I was going to ask it, but I think, when you're building new stuff, it's kind of an interesting question. And the way our projects work is does it make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is in the white paper. There is going to be a bug bounty. We don't have the quantity or like, thresholds, like how severe and whatnot yet, but that is definitely an intention. It's a huge thing. My dream is to have my project audited by CertIC. I think that would be the coolest thing ever. But I have no idea how much that costs. So we'll find out about that.
I was going to say that's one offline, right?
yeah. We'll wait until year 4 of this, and then we'll get it on.
Yeah, if the project really takes off, then the cost won't matter, right? No, it's an investment, of course. Absolutely. It's an investment, of course. So, no, that's good. That's good. I just wanted to share like 2 things. So next week we've been talking about doing this. It's Thanksgiving for a lot of us in the U.S. So there will be nothing on Thursday. We may do like a free-for-all show on Wednesday at the same time. I'm working on getting confirmation from some other Kadena projects that may also want to do a space at that time. And I would just yield it to them. So I'm going to give an update sometime next week or, over the weekend once I know for sure. But I would rather support the ecosystem if there's another group doing stuff rather than trying to trample time and compete with them. And so after that, though, the week after, we are going to have a co-founder from another blockchain, and I don't want to spill it yet, but it's going to be a fun conversation. They're very energetic. They're fun. And I think that's the beauty of this is it can introduce you, and it's not castigated manner, so you can still join. It's not to leap blockchains. It's to talk about proof of work. It's to talk about what others are doing and educate all of us and myself. And that's how we grow, right? We're not going to grow by talking to the same 300 people every week. We're going to grow by bringing more people in to add to that conversation. And what I would like to see is that we go there and we see what they're doing too. And so it's like a mutual transaction. And as an investor, why not take advantage of that? So is that code on your wall? Yes, it is code on my wall. It's my Me6 board. I'll explain it in Telegram. But that's the spiel. A little bit of fluidity next week. Keep an eye on that. It's going to just be a fun, open conversation. I'm going to invite a bunch of guests up here to just shoot the shit. So we'll have fun with it. But I'll give you guys, we're at the time, but I'll give you guys, a minute or two if you want to kind of share anything.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for inviting us on, Amir. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the questions from everybody as well. Really good questions. And yeah, we'll revisit what's being said in there. And yeah, stay tuned. Expect some announcements, and we'll definitely be giving people more clarity on timelines for like live hash rate in the coming weeks.
And obviously, the requirement. Please go follow us on X at chips_KDA, and you can go join our Discord in the link there. But thank you, Amir, for having us. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys, and appreciate everybody joining. So everybody have a good Thursday, and it's snowing out here, but stay safe out there.
Yeah, it's freezing rain outside.
It's cold in the UK as well. Really cold.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.